All right, so I am here with our favorite capologist, ESPN's Bobby Marks. Bobby, we wanted to ask you, obviously we had you on the show before to talk about this stuff, but how nice is it for a Suns fan to look at what their owner is doing with the second tax apron, especially when you look at teams like the Nuggets or the Clippers that doing a lot to avoid that second tax apron?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have an owner that's willing to write a $200 million luxury tax, and certainly the Josh Okogie signing puts them over, I think, $400 million in tax in salary. It's a record for right now here. I think certainly when you kind of go all in, which they did, certainly with the Kevin Durant trade and getting Bradley Beal, you're really at a point of no return, right? I mean, it's, signing Okogie, whether to keep or use down the road, going out and, bringing back some of your own players in a minimum market, Grayson Allen extension, Royce O'Neal, which I think is one of the better free agent deals they were able to do. And then drafting well, certainly with the Ryan Dunn pick and certainly Oso. It's a nice luxury to have an owner willing to commit the resources to keep this team at a championship level here. And certainly you go out and hire Mike Budenholzer too to add to that. But yeah, I've been in it where we've done that, taken that approach, and then all of a sudden you wake up the next morning and they're like, yeah, we don't want to spend anymore. So hopefully the results kind of justify what the cost of the product is.
You touched on some of the offseason moves that the Suns made. One of the big criticisms back in Phoenix that the Suns didn't go out and add enough. We know that their avenues to doing so were kind of limited, but when you look at Monte Morris, Mason Plumlee, what do you think about the job they did?
Well, listen, Monte Morris was hurt last year in Detroit, and then certainly minutes kind of went up and down in Minnesota, but I think if they get the player that was in Washington, basically a 5-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, kind of like on a minimum. I mean, that's a really good value. Mason, I had this was a long time ago in Brooklyn here. Solid, big, certainly kind of a rim runner, kind of different than Nurkic, I would say. And then you bring back Damian, and then you bring back Bol, and certainly Okogie. I thought they've had a nice. Listen, we get caught up in the transaction game where whether it be Philadelphia or New York, these teams that go out and make these high splashes, and every team wants that. I live in Florida. My Miami Heat fans want the team turned over, and it's just not possible. So you're kind of dealt with whatever restrictions you have, but you add two really good players in the draft, and then you kind of find complementary players to your core guys.
You mentioned the two rookies. What are you kind of looking for from them here at Summer League?
Well, I think for Ryan, I think we know he's an elite level defender, and I think the big knock on him is, can he make shots? 29% at Virginia. I've talked to him at length during the draft process here, and that's the one thing he wants to kind of dispel, that he's just not he's not limited. He's not a one-way player, that he can be a two-way player. I think Oso, I think it's interesting as far as I want to see him play a little point forward. I think he can do that. I think he can handle the ball. He's a 3 or 4 year guy, so I think there's experience. Sometimes this is a little bit too fast for him. So I just think how they are either today or how they are when we end this thing, just kind of getting better with both guys.
We've talked about this before, that under the new CBA, you kind of have to really like your team. We saw the Suns invest a lot to keep the same core together. Is there something to the effect of, hey, you still have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and a core intact, maybe a year of continuity, and we're looking at things a little bit differently, even coming off a 49-win season?
Yeah, I mean, still you won 49 games, and I think that the lasting impression is getting swept by Minnesota, right? And then when you do that, then everyone wants to break up things. And like this isn't the NFL where you can just break up a roster and then you can just be relevant again a year from now. So I understand people wanting to maybe split up this group here and everything, but I think when you have a new coach and Bud, and you kind of you just let it play out. And if we're a year from now and I'm standing on the concourse in Vegas talking to you and they lost in the first round, then all right, what do we do now as far as trying to fix this roster?
Last thing, you're here in a teaching capacity as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have Sports Business Classroom that starts on Sunday night, and that runs until the 21st of July. So it's a week of teaching. We've got anything from salary cap, broadcast media, scouting, analytics, video. We have 138 students that have signed up. It's an all-day session from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. So if you want to learn the CBA and the salary cap, we really give you kind of some really hands-on experience and everything.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Bob.
I appreciate it. Thank you.